welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts on this Wednesday. Very rainy Wednesday across southern Wisconsin, snowy across northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, we had an interesting overnight even because we did get a little wintry mix. You know, I woke up and my son's car parks outside. I park inside because I own the house. And when I open up the garage, exactly, and I leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I saw his car, like a pretty good glaze there, a little bit of snow, and then farther north, some actual measurable snowfall.
Yeah.
And then the rain came down, and wow, we had some pretty heavy downpours and frequent lightning this morning.
We really did. Even saw some small hail in spots. And coming up a little bit later on, Holly's really going to focus in on some of the rainfall totals we've had so far to this point, and there's plenty more on the way. So this is going to be a big rainmaker for southeast Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is a very, very busy day. So let's just jump right into it and take a look at what's going on.
Yeah, let's look across the region, starting with the view in Milwaukee, where it really is just dreary, cloudy, and rainy. And the rain has let up a little bit compared to what we had earlier this morning. Really from the get-go, that rain was heavy and widespread across especially southeast Wisconsin, but really all of southern Wisconsin. We've had maybe a little bit of a dry break in some spots, especially up north for the last hour or so, but now we do have some lighter rain making its way into southern communities. Maybe still some pockets of more moderate rainfall down towards the south, Kenosha, maybe Racine County, but this will continue to pass through southeast Wisconsin in the next couple of hours. I think after about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon, we'll see another dry break, but still may have just a few more showers or a few more rumbles of thunder developing late afternoon into the early evening. To say the very least, we're not quite done with this storm system. You can see plenty more thunderstorm activity down towards the south as well, west central Illinois, dealing with a cluster of showers and thunderstorms and more of the bigger picture here. There were earlier some severe thunderstorm warnings and may still be at the moment farther towards the south across Missouri and Arkansas. And then this batch out ahead of the storm system extending into parts of Ohio also was producing a little bit of severe weather. And then notice up towards the north, this once again is just one of those systems that's bringing a little bit of everything. There is heavy snow across the Dakotas and Minnesota, as well as the UP on into parts of northern Michigan state and really the Great Lakes region, northern Great Lakes region. Now we are watching this warm front. It is going to continue to track up towards the north, may bring us temperatures in the 50s, maybe close to 60, but not until later today. So it does still have a ways to travel. Plus, it's worth mentioning that the primary tornado threat for severe weather today will be along and south of this warm front. So I really don't think we're going to see that here locally. Look at all the warm air south of that frontal boundary. Once again, we are still north of it here, so we've got a ways to go before we see those temperatures climbing a little bit. Regardless of even if we see 50s, it's not going to be an enjoyable day in the 50s as we see plenty more rain showers in the extended forecast. When it comes to severe weather, there is a tornado watch down towards the south. Looks like one severe thunderstorm warning in Illinois. That's that small orange box, but all of the yellow here, St. Louis down into a good chunk of Arkansas, that's a tornado watch. And there are a few more severe thunderstorm warnings out in Ohio as well. That watch actually lines up perfectly with the threat from the Storm Prediction Center. This is the latest convective outlook that they put out just a short time ago. It's not very often that we see this level 5 high risk. It was actually added earlier this morning. And that, unfortunately, in this area here, so parts of the Mississippi River Valley, long track tornadoes going to be a possibility, as well as flash flooding. That's going to be a huge component the next couple of days for these areas, as another system is actually going to develop behind this one, bringing more heavy rainfall. Now, I do want to pan back up to southeast Wisconsin because we have an update for you here. The slight risk that we had across our southern communities has now dipped even farther towards the south. So southeast Wisconsin now under a marginal risk, still not going to completely rule out maybe some strong wind or hail and anything we see later on this afternoon, but the threat does seem to be less at this point across southeast Wisconsin. Now, we will continue to see rain, though, throughout the next couple of hours, and then again, potentially late afternoon, early evening. So I do think it's still possible we pick up at least another quarter to maybe 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. And that's on top of some spots already picking up an inch of rain. So I do think a flooding threat is not out of the question here locally, at least ponding on roadways. Make sure your storm drains are cleared out. But as we just talked about, down towards the south, there are flood headlines for a good chunk of the area here from Indiana and Ohio all the way down to almost the Gulf Coast. And that's for, multi-day heavy rain event started yesterday. It's going to continue today all the way through Sunday, potentially. There will likely be some spots over 10 inches of rainfall. So this really could be a big one down towards the south, but multi-day, so multiple systems, not just with today's storm system. Back closer to home, the snow is going to continue up towards the north as well as towards the west. Here down towards the south, rain showers likely through at least about 1 or 2 o'clock. Then we should see at least a brief dry period here locally. But notice late afternoon, early evening, just a few more scattered showers and rumbles of thunder through about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. So those are the ones we'll watch very closely. I do think at this point it's going to be hard for our atmosphere to recover from all of the rain that we've had and we'll continue to see through the early afternoon. But some of those thunderstorms, once again, we'll just need to watch as they evolve and as they move through. Now, northern Wisconsin still could have a bit of snow through Thursday morning. Otherwise, the rest of Thursday, we will calm things down and dry things out. Already have seen plenty of snowfall reports up towards the north with the colder side of this storm system down towards the south. It's just primarily been the rain, but this is all going to continue here for the remainder of the day today. And again, better days are ahead and temperatures also look to warm up a little bit, Rob, in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad for Thursday. A little windy, right? But then, not a bad weekend, bit of a split, I suppose. Might get some rain on Saturday. And we need we really need, though, to get, into that April kind of vibe because we're getting toward the, last frost dates on the calendar.
That's true.
Another 4 to 6 weeks, depending on where you're viewing us from. Gardeners are itching.
Oh, absolutely.
I can see it. I wouldn't say I'm a big gardener, but even I have some landscaping that I want to get done. I want to put some new flowers in, some new perennials, some new annuals. And I want to be able to get out there and, get into the earth and be safe that it's going to stick around. So I'm really eager to get some of this milder air in here and get that growing season growing. But for now, we're still getting some snow and some rain.
Yeah, it's never safe until May, unfortunately. We always wish, but
I know it's Memorial Day is the go-to for sure. But hey, we can dream, and those of us who own motorcycles would like to get out there too. So we need some more dry, sunny days. Of course, as much as we might complain, we really shouldn't because many parts of our country are in much worse shape. Severe thunderstorms absolutely flooded streets and forced closures. In fact, closed an airport in South Texas. The conditions there were so bad that more than 50 water rescues had to be executed. Drivers had to abandon their vehicles, flash flooding. They were just caught in the middle of that, so you can't even necessarily blame them. As we always say, don't drive into floodwaters, but this happened so quickly, they were just trapped there and they had to abandon it right there. And then, of course, the National Weather Service says about 6 and 12 inches. Imagine that. We usually measure that's snow, right? That's like so this is rain, 6 to 12 inches of rain. A foot of rain fell in parts of South Texas in the past 24 hours. Different kind of rain in northern Michigan. Yeah,
this is just crazy. I keep seeing footage from even northern Wisconsin, specifically Door County, but this is in Michigan. This is from this past weekend, that ice storm. This is just incredible how much ice accumulated on those tree branches. But Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared a state of emergency for 10 counties in the northern part of Michigan State after an ice storm damaged trees. It knocked out power to around 120,000 customers. Now, one company, Consumer Energy, had more than 42,000 customers affected. The company says it had more than 700 crews working Tuesday, so yesterday, to restore power. And according to the state of emergency, Michigan State Police, Emergency Management, and Homeland Security will coordinate recovery efforts.
Crazy.
I mean, significant ice storm. And I know we haven't talked about it a ton here locally because over the weekend we had a severe threat. So we were kind of focusing on our own weather. But it just makes me wonder. I know we're way ahead of ourselves when it comes to, Door County cherry season. But you think of all of those trees.
Hopefully there's not that much damage in Door County, but they were a part of that. You're right. And this was up, northern Michigan. It's a little more of an intense situation there. But yeah, you'd hate to see that. I mean, any kind of damage to those cherry trees would be, catastrophic potentially for some of the farmers up there. Having lived through a couple of similar ice storms in eastern Canada and southern Ontario, of course there was a notorious one in the mid-90s that there was so much ice accretion, is what they call it when the ice builds up, because it was just day after day after day, that it was so much weight that it brought down the towers, the power towers, like the electrical. Yeah. You see them. It was just so much built up that it crumbled them like they were made out of tinfoil.
That's awful.
Yeah, it was very scary, and there were parts of eastern Ontario and Quebec and the northeast parts of upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire that were without power for days and weeks because of the huge infrastructure. That freezing rain is something you have to take very, very seriously.
Oh, absolutely. You can't travel in it at all, and it does cause so many power outages. There's really nothing you can do about it.
Now, fortunately, a lot of the newer power lines are underground, so that helps there.
That's true.
But if they're above ground, anything above ground, just gets taken down because that ice gets so heavy so quickly.
Very true.
All right, so at least that's not one of the things we're dealing with today, because we have a lot of things to deal with today, but freezing rain for us is not one of them. Coming up, we're going to get the latest from Holly. She's got the latest rain totals, and Tom has an in-depth look at what a warm front is, what it means, and why we don't always trust it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Another episode for you exclusively here on Fox Local. Thanks for staying with us. What a day it has been, Rob.
Yeah, what a 24-hour period, right? 'Cause last night was crazy, then the rain and storms, and now we've got this low cloud. This is a camera in the cloud, Holly. We're like written right up in it there.
Can't tell.
It's high atop our broadcast tower. You have the latest on some of our storm reports and our rain totals.
I do, and actually we're going to start with some of those snow totals first. You see all of these snow reports from at least the state of Minnesota, and that kind of moved into our area here, just the western portion and even northern portions of our state. So off of the press here, we got La Crosse. They got about 3 inches of snow last night into this morning. Wausau got about 2.2 inches, and then Green Bay got about 1.5 inches of snow. You can even see that snow report there just in the Green Bay area. But there's other storm reports that we're dealing with today as I put that away. We also have a lot of rain. You see some of those rain accumulations just near the Cedar Rapids area. And we even got a good amount of rain really starting this morning in our area. And those numbers are only going to increase as we continue to get more rain throughout the day. You see here we got almost an inch of rain in the Milwaukee region. Not quite yet, but we'll definitely get over that amount or over an inch as we head into later on into today. Same situation for the Sheboygan area, almost about 3/4 of an inch. In Fond du Lac, about 1/2 an inch. But as we go into more of our rainfall reports, here's just some of the ones that are not necessarily on our list here. So Waukesha has already received about a little over 1 inch. Same with Whitewater, right at about almost 1 inch. Sheboygan Falls about 0.82 inches. Hartford about a little over 1/4 of an inch, and same with Lake Geneva, about, or 3/4 of an inch, I should say, for Hartford and the Lake Geneva area. As we look too at the hail, we heard some thunderstorms, rumbles of thunder all this morning, and even just a little while ago, maybe about an hour or two ago. And within those thunderstorms, a little bit of hail fall. This hail fail. Here is a look at some of the hail that was reported from one of our viewers. And this looks like Ashton had some, but not just in one area though. It's really stretching from at least the Sheboygan area, even down south as far as the Kenosha area. Everyone saw a little bit more of that hail. This is just some in which Ashton sent a picture in to us. We even had some hail here in Brown Deer just off of our weather deck, and it was all like a pea-sized hail, kind of similar to what we saw just about a week and a half ago with that hail. And we definitely have a chance to have even more hail come if we have more of those thunderstorms coming later on.
All right, thank you very much, Holly. Yeah, we had some hail, we had some sleet, we've had just about everything. And a lot of this is because of an approaching warm front.
Yes, absolutely. And we're still watching it. It's in Illinois right now, but we've had systems like this over the last couple of weeks where, you know, we always say it depends on where the warm front is located, where it sets up, if we get the warmth, if we get the instability. So a warm front really determines what type of weather we can have. And meteorologist Tom Walks breaks it down a little bit more. Some really interesting stuff here.
Well, let's play a little game. Can you find the warm front in this map? Yeah, pretty easy to find, right? 42 in Milwaukee. This was last Sunday, 75 in Chicago. This is one of these days where in Wisconsin we say it's just not fair. Why are they so warm in Chicago and we're so cold just north of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line? And the answer to that has to do with the warm front position, which in this case was right over the state line. Sometimes what happens, especially in the springtime, where we still have Lake Michigan that is chilly, the winds are blowing in out of the northeast, north of the warm front. And that cooler air is being reinforced, so to speak, coming in off of Lake Michigan, keeping that warm front and the subsequent warmer air just down to our south. So Lake Michigan often plays a big role in that, and the Wisconsin-Illinois state line tends to be a favored location this time of year for those warm fronts. But now, let me take you into a little bit of a different situation here. This from the middle part of this week, the area of low pressure in this case over towards Minneapolis, and that's actually bringing the warm front into the southern part of Wisconsin. So it's moving just a little bit farther north, in part because of the area of low pressure lifting farther to the north, but you can still see that temperature difference, right? How it's getting much warmer down to the south. So there are some other factors at play as well. So take a look at this with heavy rain in the Milwaukee area on Wednesday morning. That's another factor here. Not only can the lake certainly play a role, but when you get clouds and heavy rain, that can cause cooler air to stick around, even if the warm front is nudging north, and it keeps the warmer air down to the south. So that's another factor that we look at when it comes not only to warm frontal positions, but then that also makes a forecasting challenge, because where you have the warmer air, you have more instability and a better chance for stronger thunderstorms, for example, where in the colder air, you tend to get more what we call stratiform rain, just kind of that moderate rain in those stratus clouds overhead. But again, there are multiple causes for why warm fronts either do or don't move through. It has to do with Lake Michigan sometimes, and also the heavy rain just north of those warm fronts from time to time as well.
We saw the heavy rain today for
Absolutely.
sure. And, when forecasting as well, warm fronts are very, very tricky because a slight shift one way or the other can make a massive difference, as Tom was just explaining. So we'll keep an eye on today's warm front as well, and we'll see how that plays out. We will be back with more Wisconsin weather experts. We're talking strawberries up next. All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We spent the entire commercial break talking about strawberries, blueberries, because of course, it will be strawberry season here very shortly. But of course, on the West Coast, that comes around a little bit earlier. In fact, it's pretty much all year.
Right, exactly. And rain is obviously needed for strawberries. But as we learned from Dave Alley, there can be too much rain.
Rain once again makes an appearance on the Central Coast, falling on and off Monday morning and into the afternoon.
The rain this morning, it's always pleasant to get rain. It's just a nice change of pace.
For local strawberry growers like Satellite Farms owner Randy Scherer, rain is always a welcome sight. But at the same time, they also present some challenges too.
Strawberries in particular are quite susceptible to any moisture sitting on the fruit. If the fruit sits on wet surface for very long, it will rot the fruit.
To help avoid that, farmers use several preventative measures, such as growing berries on plastic mulch in raised beds.
We have a lot of tools and we're a pretty resourceful bunch, so we do what we can to protect our crop.
Which, according to Innovative Produce CEO Philip Adam, is working. He says despite recent rainstorms over the past few weeks, crops throughout the area are doing well.
Some people have a more advanced crop and they have a lot of red fruit on it, so they're having to do more preventative work to keep that crop safe through the rain, whereas other people are later and they have a lot of small, not mature fruit where they won't be as worried about the rain. We had a particularly dry early winter this year, so having some rain late, no one's complaining too much.
While recent rain hasn't caused too many problems, farmers say should precipitation fall in about a month or so, that's when you may see some real issues begin to crop up.
It could really be detrimental not only to our production schedules, but just our harvesting schedules. The folks that we have that do the harvesting in this, it just slows them down.
As well as create workplace dangers that growers say are always at the top of their mind.
This is a people business, and basically this time of year is when you start to see a lot of people out in the fields. So when you have a lot of people out in slippery conditions, that's kind of like our biggest concern is safety, slips, trips, and falls, and safety around machinery. So we're spending a lot of time reminding everyone to be safe, and just thinking about that and being mindful.
There you go.
And strawberry season here locally is more so in June, early mid-June. So we've got some time. But I think, watching something like that is just such a huge reminder that although we always want to know what the weather is going to be for day-to-day life, it's a different level for farmers.
Oh, absolutely. It's an entire, livelihood.
Right.
And, in some cases, multi-million-dollar farms that are, at risk if they don't get the right conditions, because you lose a crop and you lose quite a lot.
Right.
And if we look over, back over time, there's always been something challenging out there weather-wise for our farmers and for everybody else. And it just happened to be that today in 2006, there was a tornado caught on camera. We see this so often today because we have all these Ring doorbells. They weren't nearly as common back in 2006, but this was part of an outbreak, that happened on this date back in 2006. You could see it just kind of come through and take out all of that little shed there, and the house was just very impactly for sure. And again, what struck me with this when I spotted the video in some of our archives was that it was caught on tape, because sure, there were storm chasers and there were camera crews trying to get this stuff on purpose.
Sure.
But the incidental caught on camera stuff that we get now is so it happens because everybody's got a phone on or a camera on their phone. Everybody's got a Ring doorbell, it seems, these days. This was just 2006 when that wasn't nearly as common.
Yeah, which is incredible to see it so clear. You obviously know that the wind is strong. You see those tree branches coming down, so clearly a very active day there. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, the outbreak that this was associated with was unfortunately a deadly outbreak. It covered multiple states, again, on this date back in 2006. And so, it also kind of reminds you that that's the season we're in, right? Like, you don't have to go back too many years on any given date this time of year to find major occurrences like that. So it's a good reminder for us as well to stay very weather aware as we continue into the afternoon. Although it does look like things may have gotten a bit better for us, at least. Yeah, I think heavy rain in the near term is going to be kind of our biggest deal, but still not going to completely rule out maybe some stronger wind or some hail later this afternoon. So still a keep your eyes to the skies type of day. Right. The wind has been very strong through the morning. It's kind of had to play, it's kind of had to play like second fiddle to the rain because it was so torrential. But now I would say continue to watch those wind gusts, because it will stay very gusty throughout the day today. As that warm front and as that area of low pressure inches closer and the barometric pressure drops, we could see some stronger gusts for a while, and even as it exits tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, thunderstorms or not, it's going to stay pretty windy today and at least through the first half of tomorrow. Something we've dealt with a lot as of late is that strong wind. So just know that too is going to continue. And maybe just to throw it out there, next week is actually Severe Weather Awareness Week in Wisconsin. That's true. I know our thread is more so later today, but this is a topic that we will continue to talk about, especially next week with we'll have a statewide tornado drill next Thursday. So a lot more to come on those topics. And we encourage you, of course, to take that opportunity and take the information that we provide and have that conversation with your family. Yes, make sure you know where to be. And we check on the supplies that you have tucked away in your safe space. And the good news is what you're doing right now can be a part of your new emergency plan, which is to take Fox Local with you. One of the great things about having this app-driven television station is that you can take our shows and take all of the weather information with you into your safe spot and stay up to date by just downloading Fox Local, which clearly you've already done, so you're one step ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. You can scan that QR code right there if you have a question ever for the weather experts. We'd love to get them, we'd love to answer them, and we'd love to see you back here on Fox Local tomorrow at noon.